Yo, what up? What up, friends?
So things can be seen, obviously, from different ways, as we know. And you have to examine that dichotomy. You have to examine the different sides to see, okay, well, where are these people coming from? And that's the problem we have in this world. And the problem why we are so divisive right now is because we have differing opinions that are so different, it won't even allow us to hear another person and their opinion. So then we're divisive, then we're going against each other, then we're fighting, then things are happening, people are getting killed, worlds are getting blown up, wars are starting, and all of these things, when we need to be considering everyone as a human being, as who they are, and considering their opinion, but not trying to hurt other people, not trying to throw things in people's faces, not trying to better your movement through the hurt of another movement. So, but anyways, the Olympics are wasteful. Again, they get billions of dollars, a lot of crooks and politicians and countries and autocrats and all these different hands in the pot. And it's so corrupt. It's just not even funny. So for them to have all these controversies is not a surprise at all. So, hey, thank you all for tuning in. Yes, sir. David, my brother. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. That's my boy, David. Shout out. Y'all go support him. Go ahead and subscribe to his blog, David's ALS Journey. It is his blog for ALS advocacy and awareness. He is trying, his hardest to bring awareness and to find a cure for ALS. So y'all, please go subscribe. Google David's ALS Journey online and go ahead and subscribe to my brother's journey to follow him along and help him out. Thank you for tuning in, my brother. Subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. I thank you for tuning in. We are having such a good time. And no, it's not over yet. It ain't even close to getting over. We still got another couple segments I want to get into, and specifically what is going on in this crazy country with the political madness that we have happening right now. Let me take a hit of my water real quick, please. Just got done working out. Gotta go Gatorade in me. So what do we see right now? Well, what we are seeing is that, going back to what we were just talking about, right? All the divisiveness, right? We know right now it is so polarized. It is one part of the country versus the other part of the country. It is one sect of people versus another sect of people. It is these conglomeration of races versus one race, right? And we're not going to sugarcoat it. We don't sugarcoat shit on this program. You know that. You know that. You know that. We ain't going to sugarcoat nothing here. Right? And so there is a thing on, especially in the conservative circles and things like that, the Great Reset, right? Where white people, the white population is taken over by the minority population. These things are all things that are bantered and talked about, which leads to things like white nationalism, which leads to things like the Ku Klux Klan and things like that. Now, are there extremists on both sides? Yes, of course there are. Yes, I agree. And as you all know, and let me again preface this conversation with this, I am an independent. I in no way care for either party. I think all politicians are pieces of shit. I think they're all, as my boy Francis would say, JFL, Francis Long, liars, cheats, and steals. Liar and cheat. But they lie, they cheat, and they steal, right? That's all they do. That's all they do. They're just there to fill their pockets and make themselves better, make their families better, make their friends better. But no one ever really looks out. No politicians really look out for the common people. They always have some sort of set of other interests happening that they're trying to accomplish aside from what politicians initially were created to do, which is help a subsect of people that you represent, however big or small that sect may be. So what happened in the past few weeks? Well, first of all, it started off with this crazy, geez, it was so crazy. So I It's not that I didn't think it would happen. I was just very surprised. Did I think that it was a possibility? Sure. I even said on the end of the what was that, the end of the second episode, I even said that there's a bunch of people out there on both sides that probably want Trump and Biden, to not to be unalive, as the kids say these days. And that turned out to be the case. We had this crazy dude, which I completely condemn. Let me start up front with that. Completely condemn the attack on former President Donald Trump. Completely disgusting. And it should not happen to any of our politicians. Yes, they're all liars, cheats, and steals, but they are unfortunately a necessary evil, which we have to have. And if there's not going to be good people that are going to enter politics, which probably inherently just isn't a job they want to do, well, then that's what we have to deal with. Does it suck? Sure. Do we have another choice? No. But that doesn't mean that we should be going around and trying to murder anyone. And first of all, don't murder anyone. We shouldn't be trying to murder anyone anyways. I don't know how crazy you have to be to try to kill someone, but you got to be kind of crazy. And I thought I was pretty crazy, but that's just really crazy. So Thomas Michael Crooks, will put his name out there because it deserves to be put out there. He is now deceased. He was shot by the Secret Service, which is a whole nother thing that we'll get into in the poor, horrible job that was done by all of the law enforcement agencies involved in that assassination attempt. But we are thankful, that President Trump is alive, that nothing happened, that because I'm sorry, I don't want anything like that to happen, because the moment, not because of anything, you don't want that to happen at all. You don't want anybody to be killed at all. But let's think about what would have happened. What would have happened if that actually happened? What would have happened if he actually got shot and killed? What would have happened? Boy, we have, that Civil War movie they got right. That's exactly what we have right now. And we don't need that. We need to unite. We need to come together. And I know it's a far-fetched utopia. I know. I get it. I hear you. I understand. But we got to try. Got to try. Got to try to be better. And that is unacceptable. Also unacceptable is the Secret Service and their not only response, but preparation. And the communication with the law enforcement. So I went through the whole report. I went through the timeline. I've looked at the responses from the local law enforcement and from the Secret Service. I also looked at the responses from former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, who has now resigned after calls for her resignation, which damn well she needed to resign because it was under her watch and it's her fault. But as a synopsis, to make this long story short, there was very much miscommunication between the parties. The local law enforcement agencies there, the local SWAT teams there, say that they did not even get their initial briefing from the Secret Service when they arrived that day. Yeah, they knew of some overall plans, of some initial things that they were going to be involved in, but there were no specifics. There were no specific directions given from the Secret Service during this communication or anything. So leaving these local law enforcement high and dry. Then you have stupid excuses like the roof not being guarded because it's sloped. Even though there were people in there a couple hours before checking, you've got this random kid walking around like a freaking weirdo, just walking around, scoping out the joint. Like people are pointing him out. Complete failure by all law enforcement there at that time. Even if you weren't communicated with properly, someone's got to see that and stop that. There's no reason anyone should get that close to a president, former president, any politician, anybody. Really, anybody really. You don't even have to be famous. If let's just say it was a random college professor or a valedictorian at a university, no one, right? We should always have proper protection, but especially, something like this, you need to have the proper protocol in place, and clearly that was not done. So again, the Secret Service director, she retired. She needed to. The guy got the shooter is dead. Good. We don't need crazy people like that in this world. There obviously needs to be some things going forward for former President Trump where they make sure that this does not happen, because he's planning on still doing outdoor rallies, he says. So got to make sure you put those proper protections in place so that we don't have things like that happen, because that is completely unacceptable. Yeah, I mean, it would have got really bad, Flo. It would have been really, really bad. And I read this the other day because I'm still sort of in my military world. But Canada right now, one of their biggest external threats in the world is a United States civil war. They actually have it written in their government that it's in the top 10 list of their greatest threats right now for Canada is a U.S. civil war. So I just read that in a report the other day. So it's it's not out of the realm, and I actually think it'll probably happen at some point with how we're going. I wish it doesn't. Again, I hope that we can all get along and unite and be able to listen to each other and love each other and respect each other, but probably not going to happen. There's always going to be a conspiracy theory with anything like this, like with the JFK shooting. There's always going to be a conspiracy theory. Something's going to come out where it'll be something like that. I agree with you. There's no reason that he should have been walking around like that. You could clearly see from the video, there's people pointing, normal, regular civilians pointing him out. So clearly people knew something was up. The fact that there weren't just a couple police officers stationed there the whole day anyways blows my mind, considering they apparently scoped it 2 hours before. The fact that they just didn't keep them there the whole time really blows my mind, and we'll get into that segment in a little bit. But an inside job, I can't see it. That would be going through a lot for the conservatives or even Trump or someone within his side to want to do that. But would I put it past? No, I would not. Would I put it past Trump to? He's a showman. He's a showman. He's a wrestling heel. So would I put it past him? No. Would I put it past the CIA or the FBI to come from the other side and try to do it? No, I would not. But I do think in this case, it was just a rogue guy, and I do believe that rogue crazy ass, and I do believe that that it was a failure, clearly from the law enforcement. But an actual inside job, I don't think in this case that it was. But hey, if you dig deep enough into that JFK conspiracy theory, you can go into a lot of rabbit holes. I'll tell you that much. But anyways, thankfully he is alive. But moving on, now we go on to his challenger. It was Joe Biden. And I told y'all the last time that Joe Biden could not be the Democratic representative because he's just too old. And I'm sorry, but when we get to a certain age, father time gets us all. It's clear in the athletic world. It's a common, for refrain that father time catches. It happens to all of it. It's going to happen to Trump in a couple of years. Probably it's happening right now to Trump. Don't act like it's not happening to him either. He's old too. He can barely talk too. So let's get that straight. They're both old. But at least he has a little bit more of his wits than Biden does. We can definitely see that. But now he has a younger competitor, right? Biden was essentially removed. Yes, he's still technically the president, but essentially, Kamala is on her trail, on her presidential campaign trail. Just yesterday, she chose her running mate, Governor Tim Walz from Minnesota, a National Guard veteran, Midwesterner, obviously in a swing state, so an older white gentleman. So obviously these things can help her as a Black Indian young woman, right? Because we know inherently she's already going to face challenges as a woman. There hasn't been a woman president before. The last time we saw that, when Hillary went up for it, she was completely demolished. She was disrespected. I don't care if you don't like her at all. What she went through was quite disrespectful in a lot of ways, I believe. Whether you like her or not, people shouldn't deserve to go through this sort of things. But you saw what she went through. It's not going to be any easier. And actually, it's going to be much harder for a Black woman. And let's not get into this stupid birtherism stuff again. I know the conservatives are starting to do this again like they did with Obama. We ain't doing this. She is black and Indian. She don't be portraying to be nothing. Just because she goes to an Indian symposium and says that she has Indian heritage does not mean that she's disproving her black heritage. So just get that straight. Okay, we don't need to be starting this again. It just, if you say stuff like that, it just proves that you have racist tendencies. That's all it does. That's all it proves. And it just makes you sound stupid. So just don't do it. Right? That being said, she's gonna have her issues. She's going to. She's a woman. She's a minority woman. She's going to have a lot of problems. And so it's going to be very hard for her. I still believe, as I said last time, I thought that Trump will win. I still do now, even with Kamala. And I do believe that Kamala is a better candidate than Biden. And I do believe that Kamala is going to make it a lot closer and have Trump sweating a lot more than he ever thought he was going to. She has a movement behind her. And that movement is due to the internet. That movement is due to Gen Z. That movement is due to the young population, the women population, the minority population. I mean, not to mention Trump went into that speech with the Black Coalition and completely made himself look like an idiot and completely just invalidated himself from every black vote, unless you're a rich black person and you're just looking out for your money. So that was horrible on his part. He just doesn't know when to just keep his mouth shut sometimes. You would think at this point he would just have learned. I thought he did at the debate. I really thought he had learned, but no, he doesn't. You think for a second he learns, but then he just starts going again. It's it is what it is. Anyway, so they have now much more of a challenge. She is going to have much more of a wave behind her, a power behind her going forward, and it's going to be a lot tougher. I still think Trump will win, but it's going to be much tougher for him because she has, again, the younger population is behind her, the women are behind her, the minorities are behind her. So let's see what Flo got to say. How is this the democracy like the Democrats always say? Republicans try and destroy. She didn't go through the democratic process. She got endorsed by Biden. Well, this is the thing. You can say that how is this democracy like the Democrats always say? Republicans try and destroy. Both parties try and destroy. And that's why I hate both parties, because they both are trying to destroy democracy. They both don't care about democracy. No one of these politicians really gives a crap about democracy at all. But if you're going to equate that for her being chosen and then not going through a specific democratic process, like going to the DNC next month and having the whole dog and pony show with a gavel and votes and things like that, that seems more like just performative. And it seems really unnecessary considering she just received 99% of the delegates. The vote, they did a vote, so it's not like they didn't do a vote. It's not undemocratic. They don't have to do the vote in person. There's no rule that says that. That's pretty stupid. Why would you anyways? Why would you waste your time? Do it electronically. There's no point. But if you really wanted them to go to the DNC and do it, gavel in hand, dog and pony show, then fine. I guess if that's what you require, then okay. But I don't think that defeats the democratic process at all, because they still solicited the votes and she got 99% of the delegates. So it's not like she wasn't going to win regardless. Is it something we've never seen before? Yeah, it's unprecedented, Flo. It sure is. It is kind of weird to see someone who has been already pretty much nominated as the candidate, going out on the trail running for president. But if you have all of the people that would have been going up against her, endorsing her, then what is the point? You're just going to go have a debate for the fun of it just to watch a bunch of people bash on each other? I mean, that's cool. I like watching debates for that exact reason, but it's not going to prove a purpose because she would have won anyways. So that I don't like that point that conservatives are making, because it doesn't make any sense, because they still voted. Whether or not you want them to go vote in a place where they're all around or something, that doesn't make any sense. This is in Congress. They're not voting for laws. So, Democratic Republic, whatever you want to call it, the founding fathers wanted this place to be. We're far from that. And we're far from ever getting back to that. And, not me personally, but depending on who you ask, maybe not all of that was great. what they originally intended. I know not all of it was. I can tell you not all of it was. We're not going to get into it because we all know, but not all of it was. But hey, well, yeah, because Biden was the overall winner. So you're not really saying anything because Biden was going to be the choice then too. And just because the Republicans have so much problems on their end in having people wanting to compete against Trump like Nikki Haley did and Ramaswamy and Chris Christie and all them, that's not the Democrats' fault that they don't have those issues and they rally around their people. That's y'all. That's the Republican. I'm not going to say y'all, Flo. I'm not going to pretend to know your politics. All I'm going to say is the Republican. That just because the Republicans don't do that, don't mean the Democrats have to. That doesn't make any sense. That argument. Biden was their clear nominee. They like to stand behind one person, and I think that's how parties should do. Honestly, the Republicans should have stood behind Trump the whole time anyways. If you're going to stand, you know how we say it on the show, stand 10 toes down. 10 toes down, right? You already know that. Stand 10 toes down. So y'all, or the Republicans should have just stood behind Trump and never had a primary anyways. But they did, and Nikki Haley got embarrassed. And if that's what you want to see, if you just want to have the jovial effect of watching people get embarrassed, I'm cool with it. I didn't mind. I watched it. I watched every single one of the Republican debates. So if that's what you want to see, I get it. But it didn't prove a purpose. Trump still won, and it was very embarrassing for the rest of the candidates. So what's the point? Yeah, she dropped out early. Again, this was 4 years ago, dude. You're talking a long time ago. She was chosen as the vice president. The Democratic Party got behind her. Any of the people that would have gone against her, Buttigieg, Shapiro, Walz, Gretchen Whitmer, guy in California, Newsom, they have all endorsed her. So there's no need for a dog and pony show when all of your opponents have endorsed you. That is a democratic process right there. So anyways, thank you for tuning in, though, Flo. I really appreciate it. And y'all, make sure you check us out at The Bottom Line Sports. If you like this argument right here between me and Flo, you're gonna love us talk trash about sports because we be getting at each other with Hot Take Jake and Canteen. So tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Go ahead and join The Bottom Line Sports on Facebook. Join our Facebook group. We talk a lot of trash about sports over there. Also, subscribe at Ball and Buds on YouTube so you stay up to date with all of these videos. So, it's going to be tough. Again, now you have these two vice president candidates. Both are former veterans, so that no one really has an upper hand there, although there are some whispers as to services completed and things like that. You can go look that up for yourself. But both of the VPs are going to have to look into their history. They're going to get very much dissected, as long as they're not giving themselves away like JD Vance, who already, gave away that story about him and the couch. It's not the greatest thing you should probably be putting out there, but hey, whatever. I support it. I mean, whatever you want to do, dude. That's how you got to get your jollies off, and I am with it. No problem. Flo, the point is that what you're asking for them to do is go to the DNC next month, sit around, put 5 people up on a podium, on a stage for a few hours so Republicans can watch and them make fun of each other and trash you and me and other and independents. Just for the fun of it. Also, they can have a vote, which would be the same exact outcome that they just had yesterday. Stop it. You're not making any sense. That's a bad argument. Conservatives need to drop that argument because it's not going to work. They just voted. They solicited every single delegate across the Democratic Party, and she got 99% of the votes. Whether you like it or not, that is a democratic process. You don't need the dog and pony show. You just want them to do that. And that's fine. I get it. I want to see it too. I'm a fan of chaos. Controlled chaos, but chaos nonetheless. I love you, Flo. You're my boy. Anyway, so how does this play out? We can only pretend to even know at this point. We know that obviously Kamala is going to get very much dissected. There's no amount to tell the amount of race jokes and other things Trump may tell So the debate is going to be must-watch TV. I will be there with my popcorn. You think the NFL got good ratings? That Trump Harris debate, that Donald Trump Kamala Harris debate, that joint is going to be a banger. As the kids say, I'll be front and center for that. Now, what about Biden? To be able to, even if again, I agree, he does not have the mental capacity to be able to be president, but for you to step aside from the world's most powerful job, knowing that you still want to continue on, is a selfless act of service that is rarely seen, especially in politics. So whether you like Biden or not, whether you approve the job that he did or not, and yeah, I don't approve everything he did. He did a lot of good, but he made some mistakes, as every president is wont to do. But I think that he gave his all for this country for a long time. I think he was a person that did care about America and does care about America. And so I just want to thank him for his service and wish him well off into the sunset. But there's no doubt about it that had to happen. Again, he was in no position to be able to run a country. And again, Trump's getting to that point. He's a year or two away from that, which is why electing him may not be the best idea, because of the fact that he could very well be Biden part 2 halfway through his term. Again, I still think Trump's going to win, but that's very, very possible, and actually probably very likely, probably very probable that about 2 years in, we see the same thing happen to Donald Trump that happened to Biden. Just saying. Watch. I'm usually right about these things. So, let's see. What did Flo say? Kamala may be black, but she's not from the South, like the fake accent she tried to pull. Yeah, she tried to pull off the, who was that? Oh man, what's his name? Brian Kelly, where he used to be the coach at Notre Dame, and then he went to go to LSU, and all of a sudden had a down south country accent. Like, son, what? You ain't never had no country accent. That was hilarious. Yeah, I mean, everybody tries to fake. I mean, come on now. All these politicians are fake. I'm not going to put anything past her. Like, she isn't just like all the other ones. All politicians are liars, cheaters, scumbags, fake, whatever you want to call them. Trump, Biden, all of them. All of them. It don't matter. All of them are out for their own good. I mean, whatever. You can, but it doesn't matter, because either way, there should be age limits for presidents. I don't believe that you should be a president if you're over the age of 70. I think you should automatically be disqualified. There's no reason you should be able to collect Social Security and be the president. Sorry. Nope. We need young minds in here. We don't need that. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. And you can say that. I'll put that comment back up there because I took it down a little quick. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to talk, but I was being a little facetious. I don't know necessarily that he's going to go that quick. But he's 70. He's what, 78 years old, 76 years old. He's not going to last much longer. He ain't got much longer. You think he's going to go the whole term and be coherent? He's not even coherent now. Like, I know Biden is worse off. I agree with you. I completely accept that fact. But let's not act like Trump is. First of all, he's not the smartest tool in the shed. Actually, he's not very smart to begin with. But let's not act like he doesn't do and say a lot of stupid things. And then the whole thing, oh, Biden needs a teleprompter to talk. And then a few weeks later, Trump's like, oh, my teleprompter went out. Like, come on, it's both sides. It's the same thing. You could say it about both sides. You could say it. So the same thing you can say about Trump, you can say about Biden, and vice versa. It doesn't matter. He shouldn't be president because of age. No presidents over the age. And actually, you know what? I'm backing it up. No presidents over the age of 60. All right, that's a little too young. 65. No presidents over the age. I've moved my age limit down to 65. There's no reason you should be that old and be a damn No, you should be retired, sitting somewhere on the beach. And you shouldn't. Old people shouldn't even be able to drive when they get that old. What are you talking about? I'm just joking. I'm joking. My grandmother still drives. No, I don't think she does anymore. She's 85 now, but she was at like her 80s. She wasn't bad. She wasn't good either, but she wasn't bad. Shout out Caguas. She told me to give her a shout out, my abuela in Caguas. You see, and this is the greatest part, Flo, and I appreciate you for doing this for me because you reminded me that I had to mention this. This is great when the conservative side does this because you know that they're in their Fox News, Newsmax silo. And yes, I watch all of them. I watch Fox News, Newsmax, CNN, MSNBC. I even watch OAN sometimes in that crazy ass network because it gets crazy. But this is how you know when you're in a silo and you only listen to one side, because this is exactly what they say on Fox News and on Newsmax. He's way smarter than Kamala and all of her word salads, and she doesn't talk and she does all. I have watched pretty much 75% of Trump rallies since COVID because I think they're hilarious and I laugh because he goes off on tangents. He says a bunch of dumb shit. He does a bunch of dumb things, and he is not smarter than Kamala. Kamala went to freaking Howard. Trump couldn't even get into a university. He is not smarter than her at all. Not even close. If you gave them an IQ test, she would blow him out the water, dude. It's not even close. Not even close. That being said, Trump is a good businessman. Trump is smart when it comes to getting his way, his advantage. But if you're talking about pure IQ, there's not even a chance. There's not even a chance. There's not even close. And the word salad thing, that's how I know you're in a silo, because that was made up by Newsmax and Fox News. I know because I just watched it yesterday and watched them say that. And I laughed when they said it because I was like, I literally watch Trump rally all the time, and he goes off on tangents and word salads like I've never heard. He goes through, he can't even pronounce some words. And it's funny because he'll then try, it's funny the way he does it because he'll try to play it off. He'll be like, in the sacrifice and the sacrifice of the country is just sacrificial. And it's so funny the way he does it. But anyways, you go ahead and think that if you want, bro. If you think that Trump doesn't do that, you don't watch his rallies. I literally try to catch every Trump rally that I can because I think they're hilarious. And he goes off on way more tangents and word salads than I've ever heard Kamala do. So you're repeating things that come from the echo chamber and that's okay. I know you don't watch CNN or MSNBC. I know you don't get the other side of things. I know you just hear your side, and that's fine. Most of, I'm not going to say conservatives. Most people do that. Most people do that. Both sides will stick to their echo chamber, but I don't. I listen and I watch both sides. I watch all the news channels. I hear everything they say. I watch all the rallies. I watch all the speeches, and I know better than most people because I watch and I see with my own eyes. And I've seen Trump do that plenty of times. So you're not going to tell me any different. I do watch her. Well, that's not good either, because if you're just getting your news from YouTubers, then you're just listening to people like us. And Flo, if people were really coming to take sports knowledge from you or Canteen or Hot Take Jake, they ain't going to be getting very much. So I think we know what that means. I think you need to turn on maybe some news channels, some official journalists, people actually in the muck of things, not just YouTube. But I do love YouTube. Shout out. $5.